This program contains graphic reenactments of accidents and injuries that some viewers may find disturbing. Most people are aware of how important their eyesight is, and no one would willingly do damage to their eyes. It's therefore extraordinary that thousands of workers suffer eye injuries in the workplace each year, and how easily these accidents could be avoided. Whichever industry you work in, you must take eye safety seriously. Split-second freak accidents, a sudden splash of caustic chemicals, an airborne sliver of metal. These are the accidents that happen every day. With just a little extra effort, it's easy to ensure that you and your coworkers won't suffer eye damage while on the job. This program covers case studies. It could happen to you. The hierarchy of control. Personal protective equipment, including maintenance and storage, and emergency response. Common causes of eye injuries are flying objects, such as bits of metal and glass, tools, particles, chemicals, harmful radiation, and any combination of these or other hazards. The following case studies examine some of the causes of eye injuries at work. Case Study 1. Chemical damage. Working with chemicals can be very dangerous if the correct protective eyewear is not worn. Even if the chemicals appear to be confined in a safe container, they can still splash up onto the face and eyes. What type of protective eyewear must be worn when working with chemicals or dangerous substances? Case Study 2. Light damage. Looking into extremely bright light created by arc welding or electrical shorts can cause eye injury if suitable protective eyewear is not worn. While some damage only causes temporary blindness, in many cases it can be permanent. What type of protective eyewear can protect your eyes from arc welding? Case Study 3. Airborne materials. Using pneumatic hand tools can be hazardous. Even when they are pointed away from the face, eye injuries can occur. For example, when using a nail gun, a nail can ricochet off a plate behind a siding and implant itself in your eye with incredible force. In less than a split second, your eyesight can be lost forever. Using the hierarchy of control, what steps can be taken to ensure that this accident does not occur? Case Study 4. UV damage. One of the more underestimated causes of eye damage is from the sun. When working outdoors, ultraviolet rays from ordinary sunlight can cause a significant amount of eye damage. Make sure your protective eyewear contain a UV filter. Tinting gives you protection from UV and glare. What can be the effects of eye damage from the sun? Case Study 5. Falling objects. If you are working or storing equipment at height, tools and materials can fall and strike a coworker in the eye. For example, if you are wearing a tool belt, it's important to make sure that all tools are securely fastened. How many different ways could this accident have been avoided? Case Study 6. Peripheral Sources. Even if you're not directly engaged in a potentially dangerous activity, you need to protect yourself if someone is working in your vicinity. For example, nearby equipment can cause small shavings to fly off and lodge itself in your eye. Foreign objects can cause permanent damage to your eyesight. Whose responsibility is it to ensure that suitable protection is worn by any persons in the vicinity of a potentially dangerous situation? Matthew Murdoch lost most of his eyesight in a workplace injury. His left eye suffered a permanent 80% loss of vision, while the vision in his right eye was lost completely.
I lost my sight about a year ago at work. Yeah, a year and a couple of weeks. It's been pretty tough, you know, but, well, especially for my wife, you know. We got three young kids, and well, you know, it's a full-time job looking after them without having to worry about me, which she does now. You know, I was using an electric grinder at work, and a piece came off and hit me about here. My mates took me to the emergency, but well, there wasn't much they could do for me. You know, it went up. It sliced into the top, cut through my nose, and went straight through both eyes. You know. This one copped most of the damage. I can still see a bit through this one, you know, like blurred shapes and lights and stuff. You know, we got 16 grand, which well, you know, paid a few bills, but don't really go very far, and it doesn't make up for what you've lost. I mean, they give you 16 million, but still don't get your sight back, do you? Oh, yeah, I can pretty well look after myself, but, well, it's the kids, that's the worst thing, you know, because if they hurt themselves or they want anything, you know, I can't really help them. They have to go to their mother. You know, I can't read them stories anymore or play with them properly. You know, I used to kick the ball around for them and run around, but I can't really do that anymore.
Matthew's accident was unfortunate, but could easily have been avoided. If Matthew, his co-workers, and his managers had taken the time to make the workplace safe, Matthew might still have his eyesight. It may sound daunting, but it only requires a few simple steps. Each time you commence work, or before starting a task, it's important to assess any potential eye safety dangers. If you find any hazards, report them to your supervisor or manager immediately. An eye hazard safety assessment identifies potential risks. When risks are identified, control measures can be implemented and followed. The hierarchy of control for eye protection at work is elimination, substitution, isolation, engineering controls, administrative controls, and personal protective equipment. These control measures are used in combination with each other. Elimination. The work area can be made safe by eliminating any potential dangers. Substitution. Replace hazardous equipment, materials, or hazardous work practices with safer alternatives. Isolation. Separate hazards from people who are at risk of being injured by them. Eye injuries are almost as great a danger to bystanders as the people using dangerous tools or chemicals. Engineering controls. These are options such as exhaust ventilation for dust or fumes that can cause eye irritations. Machines that emit particles may need a guard or fitting attached. Poor lighting, which can lead to eye strain, can be replaced with suitable lighting so that tasks can be done safely. Administrative controls are options that managers and supervisors can take, including placement of prominent signs to warn of potential hazards, ensuring all workers and visitors wear protective eyewear in designated areas, ensuring that regular inspections are carried out on all mechanical or electrical equipment, and ensuring eye wash stations and first aid kits are provided. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is the last control measure and should be considered after all other control measures have been exhausted. It is important to remember that very small particles such as dust and glass or metal splinters cause most eye injuries. You should wear safety eyewear whenever there is a chance of eye injury. Anyone working in or passing through areas that pose eye hazards should wear appropriate protective eyewear. Never enter without or remove protective eyewear in a designated hazard area. Safety eyewear protection includes non-prescription and prescription safety spectacles, goggles, face shields, welding helmets, and full-face respirators. The type of protective eyewear you should use depends on the hazards in your workplace. There are glass, plastic, and polycarbonate safety lenses. Glass lenses can be heavy due to minimum lens thickness requirements and therefore uncomfortable, low impact resistant, and are not always recommended as safety eye protection. Plastic lenses, including polycarbonate lenses, offer better impact resistance than glass, are lighter weight, can be coated for anti-fog and anti-scratch, and can be made in your corrective prescription. Safety eyewear is rated at a specific level of impact protection, and you should refer to your supplier to ensure it is correct for the task. It is essential to check that the right level of protection is being used for each specific task. If you are working in an area that has or has the potential for particles, flying objects, or dust, you must wear the relevant impact rating eye protectors. Protective eyewear, such as face shields, may need to be worn. If you are unsure, consult your safety officer or supervisor. If you are working with chemicals, always check material safety data sheets to assess what types of eye protection are required. Goggles may be adequate to protect against chemical splashes. However, full-face shields offer greater protection. Respiratory equipment with eye protection may be required when working near smoke and noxious or poisonous particles and fumes, which can cause severe eye irritation. Hazardous radiation from welding, lasers, or fiber optics require special-purpose safety spectacles, goggles, face shields, or helmets designed for that task. Hammering, brick cutting, handling wire, riveting, chipping, stone dressing, certain woodworking operations, and scaling, grinding, or machining metals requires appropriate impact eye protection, such as safety spectacles with side protection and face shields. When working with power-actuated tools, such as a nail gun, it is essential to be wearing appropriate impact eye protection, such as a face shield combined with safety spectacles underneath. A face shield provides protection for not just the eyes, but also the face and throat as well. If you are near or far-sighted, you'll need to wear corrective lenses while on the job. Contact lenses and prescription spectacles are not eye protective devices, and wearing them does not reduce the requirement for eye and face protection. If you wear prescription spectacles or contact lenses, you must ensure that all PPE is compatible and fits comfortably. There is a range of PPE available that is specifically designed for prescription spectacles. Safety spectacles with prescription lenses are also available. If you are unsure, consult with your safety officer or supervisor. When eyewear is damaged, it must be either repaired or replaced where appropriate. Placing eyewear on a nearby surface may result in contact with contaminants such as dust, vapors, and solvents, which can injure your eyes and reduce the equipment's lifespan. Always make sure your eyewear is clean before or after use, as per manufacturer's instructions. Safety equipment must be stored suitably, for example in its original packaging when not being used, or in a hygienic, sealable container that is clearly labeled. The eye is an extremely delicate organ. Different types of eye injuries include a direct blow, chemical contact including solids and liquids, flash burns, free-floating foreign bodies, adherent or embedded foreign bodies, and penetrating foreign bodies. After injury, the eyes can be further damaged by inappropriate actions. Eye injuries can result in the eye weeping, blurred vision, bloodshot eyes, light sensitivity, pain around the eye, and the feeling of something on or in the eye, whether or not there is a foreign object present. In serious cases, you could lose all or part of your eyesight. Different types of eye injuries require different initial responses. Do not attempt to remove anything from an injured person's eye yourself, unless you have been trained to do so. In the case of chemical contact with the eyes or free-floating bodies, such as dust on the surface of the eyes, do not rub your eyes. Gently flush the eye with clean water for 10 minutes. Use an eye wash if possible. A sterile saline solution for eye irrigation found in most first aid kits can also be used. Instruct a coworker to contact your first aid officer, supervisor, or emergency services immediately. A flash burn is a painful injury that damages the cornea, which is the clear tissue that covers the front of the eye. A flash burn occurs when you are exposed to bright ultraviolet UV light. It can happen in all types of UV light, but it is a common problem among welders. The symptoms of flash burn include pain that may be mild to very severe, bloodshot eyes, light sensitivity, watery eyes, blurred vision, and the feeling of having something in your eye. The onset of signs and symptoms are often experienced several hours after exposure. Immediately see your first aid officer or doctor if you experience any of these symptoms. Covering both eyes with clean, moist eye pads or dressing may reduce the distress until you see a doctor. In the case of a direct blow impact to the eyes, or a penetrating foreign body, such as a glass splinter or being hit by a metal sliver while grinding, do not rub your eyes. Lie down on your back. Don't move your eyes. Cover the injured eye by placing padding around the object or a paper cup over the eye and bandage in place. Do not put any pressure on the injured eye. A coworker must seek urgent assistance from first aid or emergency services. Reassure and calm the casualty. Don't try to remove an embedded or penetrating foreign object yourself. Only leave a casualty alone if this is unavoidable. When providing assistance to an injured coworker, never attempt procedures you are not trained to perform. If in doubt, seek assistance from a first aid officer or contact emergency services. Following appropriate eye safety measures does work. Employees who wear appropriate eye protection significantly reduce the risk of a serious eye injury. If you do suffer an eye injury, the consequences can seriously affect your life. Remember, you and your coworkers can act together to prevent eye injuries occurring at your workplace.